Are you not entertained? Did that intro work? I was like, how do we do this intro and make it funny? How do we do it? Because I don't know if we can do a regular intro on today's market close. I don't know if we can be like, hey, everybody, welcome back to another market close. This is one of those days where you say, are you not entertained? Because damn it, I'm pretty entertained. A lot of stuff has happened today. It's been forever since we guys have talked. I mean, it seems, it's been so long, but we're back. Market close. Hope everyone's having a fun day. And we've got a lot to talk about. Palantir has broke through 52-week highs. We touched $22.18. I think that's on the thumbnail of this video. We are not at $22 anymore. We're at $21.75. But the fact that we're even at $21, the fact that we're above $19, we are up, ladies and gentlemen, 30% on the day on the dot. I mean, a 30% day for a company like Palantir is not easy to be able to do. And we are here and we are doing it. So super excited. Thank you all for being here. It's been a very fun day. I've talked to a lot of people today. I've been discussing a lot of things, getting a lot of thoughts and opinions, perspectives on Palantir. So I have a lot to tell you guys. And we're going to discuss everything that's gone on and why Palantir has run up as much as it's run up since the morning. In the morning, we were stuck at that 2080 to 2110 level, and then we fell down to 2040 by the time I left the stream. Over the past hour, we had a breakout. Now, where did the breakout come from? So let's get right into it. Everybody, thank you for being here for the market close today. We got about 13 minutes. We're going to discuss what's going on with Palantir. Then we're going to see how the market ends up closing. And then we'll talk about some of these other stocks that have had a pretty interesting day, including NVIDIA, Tesla, etc. So this is the news that, at least on Twitter, I guess I broke the news because I mean this was it was this tweet that, but I didn't see anyone tweet this, and someone sent me the link, and I was like, all right, this is the time to break the news, and this is the news that came out. Palantir has been awarded a $650 million contract from the General Services Administration. This is the official source from the U.S. government website, and this is the news that, quite frankly, I think I tweeted this before Bloomberg Terminal got it, because at 2 p.m. is when Fidelity reported it. I got a bunch of emails about it. And then I think, I could be wrong, but I think it went live on Bloomberg Terminal. And that's when the stock went to 22. So the stock was stuck around 21.20 the whole day. And my tweet obviously did nothing to move the stock because it's just me on Twitter. But when Bloomberg, quote unquote, tweeted it, that's when we saw the run to 22. Now the stock's down at 21.77. Now, one thing I want to say about this, amid is the Palantir terminal. One thing I want to say about this is I'm getting some updates. I don't know if all 650 million is going to Palantir alone. So that is what I'm trying to figure out. If anyone has any updates on that, let me know. What I am seeing is that potentially this is something that's going to be awarded to 14 other vendors. Okay, and we're going to try to get a confirmation of that today. Here's the website right here, sam.gov. So this is official U.S. government website. And as you can see right here, Palantir Technologies, $650 million. It ends February 29th. It's February 2029. So it's a 5-year deal. You see, 5-year deal. And so I'm trying to figure out, is this all of Palantir's money or is this across multiple vendors? I don't know. If it's a 5-year deal, Palantir gets $130 million a year, which is insane. Absolutely insane. If it's split across many vendors, then it's still really good. It's just Palantir's not going to be getting all 650 million. So I just wanted people to understand that. Regardless, that is the news that was broken throughout the terminal and throughout the internet that got, I think, the stock to really start pumping. I mean, really, stock's at 21.84 right now. The reason it went from 21.30 to 22.15, I think, really is because this news hit the marketplace, and a lot of people were like, 650 million going to Palantir is a big deal. Now, Fidelity reported 650 million to Palantir. Maybe they don't know if it's a multi-vendor deal either. But even if it is 10 or 15 vendors, maybe let's say Palantir is getting 100 million, not 650 million. The point is U.S. government growth that people thought was dead is not dead. And the government just has billions and billions of more to spend on AI, machine learning, defense, JADC2. I mean, if you know Palantir, there's a lot of contracts. Titan's going to be worth 1.5 billion. So there's a lot of momentum coming in the government space. And a day after earnings for this report to come out, whether it's 650 million or 100 million, whatever it is, for us to get a nice chunk of some government contracts after earnings, where the worst metric was government, is really cool. Really, really cool to see. We have Snapchat and Enphase earnings after hours. I forgot about those because I've been singularly focused on one thing today. So we'll talk about that as soon as we get to the market close. We'll cover all that stuff. Volume on Palantir, 402 million shares have been traded on Palantir. 402 million. Stock's at 21.90 right now. Look, SoFi on their earnings day had 286 million. Yeah, that's nothing compared to us. Like 402 million, dude. I don't know a stock, and please tell me in the chat, because maybe I just haven't kept up. Tell me a stock that has had 400 million shares traded in one day. I mean, that's probably a question we could ask Bard, right? We got to be able to ask Bard that. What stock has had the single most volume on one trading day? Let's see if Google's useful for something. The fucking $10,000 I invested in Google. Let's see if they can give me a reasonable result. Vodafone, 2.1 billion shares in a day on February 11th, 2000. So we are, what is it? We are about 1/5 of the most shares traded on a single day ever. Vodafone, February 2000 was the day they had and that was during the dot-com bubble. February 11th, 2000. Yeah, that was basically at the top of the dot-com. That's crazy, dude. But that's insane. 402 million shares. This is why I'm saying management doesn't need to do buybacks. There is enough liquidity out there for a Palantir. If you look at the book volume on Palantir, so on Robinhood, they have this nice thing where you can just see the level 2 market data. So this is how many people are bidding and how many people are selling against it. When Palantir was struggling to get to 22, so it was 21.97 to 21.99, I took a look at this. There were 220,000 shares waiting to be sold at $22. So now think about this. When there's 220,000 shares, that's basically what we call a wall on the trading book. That means it's really hard to jump over that wall, right? Robinhood had the same thing a month ago where there was like 50,000 shares waiting at the $13 range. And then Robinhood just burst through it. And those 50,000 shares fell down. Why? Because people were willing to pay the $13 to break through the 50,000 share wall. People were willing, at the tunes of 220,000 shares at least, willing to pay $22 on the dot to break through that 220,000 share wall that was stuck on the book volume. And that's how Palantir broke through 22. Now, there was a lot of sell side pressure after that. There were people selling 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 shares of Palantir at $22. And so that's what got us back down to this 21.85 level. Like right now, there's 32,537 shares. You see that? Waiting at 22, right there, right at on the left hand side, on the third from the bottom, from the top, 32,587. So those shares that are waiting, that makes it very hard for it to keep going higher. But think about this: there were 220,000 shares waiting, and then Palantir said, and just went right past it. I mean, we talked about the Swifties this morning. I don't know about you, but I like feeling 22, and it seems like Palantir decided they wanted to feel 22 today, which was pretty awesome. T-Rock Coma says got out at 22.13, 10% of shares. Yeah, I think a lot of people ended up selling some shares at $22, which is why why it fell down. Cost, why not? I sold 100 shares at 22. Guilty. Yeah. All of you guys that took some profits at 22, you ran up those sell side numbers, and then boom, we get a nice little collapse at $22. So that's why we're struggling right now for there. A couple super chats. Mr. Seymour Duck, Nintendo and Palantir both had great earnings. Here's to celebrating our #1 position on good earnings. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Nintendo also crushed it. So awesome earnings. Tirakoma says, don't care that you don't want this. You provide a lot of value. Wow. I'm seeing that just now. That's $100 super chat, dude. Thank you so much. Tirakoma. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. I appreciate it. Again, I really don't want the money. I'm just so grateful for the attention, so grateful for people caring and being part of this community. So, I mean, yeah, the money is just, it's a cherry on top. It means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for that. Let me show you guys these options that I have that, to the advice of the chat, I did not sell. So these are random options I bought in December. I just threw $2,000 at it. Those are up 33% on the day. For the entire day, they're up 72%. These are $35 basically spreads on Palantir. If they get to 35, then this 2K turns into 11K. So I did a poll with the chat, says, should I sell them? I would have made like $400 if I sold them in the morning. Now they're up 722. Maybe Palantir pulls back, but I think let's just let it ride. Because at this point, I am getting pretty bullish just based on the raw numbers I'm seeing, that $35 by 2026 seems like it's possible. So we'll see what happens. Samrat Chan says, says, bro, what legit stock goes up 30% WTF? That's making me very uncomfortable. You know, you're not the only person that feels like this. I think a lot of people right now are feeling a little scared around Palantir at this price and are kind of thinking, you know, we should really think twice about what's going on in the context of Palantir. I agree. Let me say that, you know, front and center. Up 30% right now, it's definitely scary in one day for a stock to be up 30% because the feeling is, oh my goodness, I should sell. I should take my profits. I should like this. I might not get this day again. My response to that is simply this. Two responses. Number one, if you want to take profits, take some profits. I wouldn't sell the entire position, but if you want to sell, don't go crazy over not taking some profits. If you really need to take, this is why I genuinely think you should have a trading account for Palantir and a long position for Palantir. Like, I think this solves the problem. Have a long position you don't touch, throw away the key, look at it in 10 years, and then have a trading position that you want to play around with, right? I think that really scratches the itch for how people want to buy and sell on certain days. Second of all, the numbers yesterday were really fucking good. I mean, like, and I've talked about it for the past 24 hours. The numbers were good. And if the numbers were good, it's very hard for me to be like, yeah, you should take your profits. If we had some shitty numbers and we pumped 30% today, and you guys know me, unequivocally would have been like, guys, this is a retail pump. This is a dumb pump. This pump's absolutely going to come crashing down. This is what, you know, me and Chris have been talking about with SMCI. Take the profits and run. The market's giving you a chance. That's what I did with SoFi, right? When it went up to $900, I made $1,200 on SoFi the day it ran because I was like, I don't trust SoFi at all. And I took my money and I ran and you know, now it came down. I don't think you need to do that with Palantir. I don't think you need to do that with Meta. Those two companies at earnings that are going to show continued sustainable growth. And it seems like the street wants more of it this time versus less. So, I think I think it's just way too early, as Bay Ray says here, to be taking a ton of profits at 21. Now, again, that's not financial advice. Do what you need to do, make your own decisions. But given the momentum of trajectory, we might fall back to 16, 17 if there's a mass market pullback. Anything can happen. But the mindset is the business is good. If the business did that, I would unequivocally be like, yep, stock's running too much. It's stupid right now. The business is good and the stock might still fall because that's just the market. But if you have a long-term horizon and the business is good, which we've talked about for the past 24 hours, the business is good. Adjusting operating income margins, 34%, $3.7 billion in cash, no debt, $1 billion of free cash flow they're going to do, 70% US commercial growth, 40% guidance growth, 20% overall growth. Government, we got this nice contract today that's going to eventually start to reaccelerate. Like, we are going to see these numbers get a lot better and it's going to be really, really fun. It's going to be really, really fun. So those are my thoughts, but we'll ultimately see how it plays out from there. Okay, so let's get back into this. We got 1 minute until the market closes. We have some big earnings today on the market close. We have Enphase and Snapchat. So as soon as the market closes, we're going to look at where Palantir ends. I mean, I think we're going to probably end up 25 to 30%. Maybe we go down a little bit after hours, but guys, a 30% day is a 30% day. I mean, that is a day every Palantir shareholder deserves to celebrate. That is a day where you get to bask in the glory of being up 30% in a day. Like, that's not easy to do. And it's pretty exciting that Palantir was able to hold this. Again, we didn't sell off most of the day, dude. We just kept trugging along. 18, 19, 20, then 21, and even touched 22. And now the question is just how long can it sustain itself? Snapchat and Enphase right after the bell. So as soon as I get these numbers, we'll do Snapchat and Enphase. And then at 5:30, I'll be live streaming my conversation with Dan Ives. We'll be talking to Dan Ives. He upgraded his price targets to $30 for Palantir. So we'll be talking to him right at 5:30, and I'll set up a separate stream. You guys can just join that right as soon as this is done. All right, 4 p.m. Tuesday, February 6th. The market is now closed. All right, there we go. Market's closed. Palantir ends at 21.87. 21.86, and then after hours, it's up 1 cent. That's not bad, man. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. But so far, Palantir, $21.86. Not bad at all. Very, very exciting to see what happened to Palantir. And we'll get back to it in just a little bit. And we'll keep going. I'm not going to be streaming the Enphase call, guys, because I'm doing the Dan Ives Twitter Spaces. So I'll be streaming that instead on YouTube. So I thought I was going to do Enphase, but then, Dan hit me up this morning. He's like, yo, you want to do Twitter? I was like, yeah, I want to do that. I'd much rather talk to you about Palantir than stream a company telling me why their solar panel growth is declining. Like, I'd rather do that. So I won't be able to check that out. All right, let's go to Enphase. So Enphase after hours is, wow, look at all those sell side orders. You see the red on the volume book? Okay, so there's a ton of sales coming in right now. Stock's basically flat after hours. We closed on a 52-week high. Yeah. Thank you for that free D-Conic. We closed out a 52-week high on Palantir. Well, technically we didn't because we hit 22, but the old 52-week high was 21.85, and so we did close above that today. Okay, so I've got Snapchat pulled up and I've got Enphase. I actually think Snapchat's going to go well, and I think Enphase is going to go bad. That's my predictions. And the opposite's probably going to happen now, but I think Snapchat's going to go good. Enphase is going to go bad. Where's Snap so far after hours? Snapchat's up. Oh, there you go. There, Snapchat's got a green candle. It's up 1%. It's up 1%. Let's get the numbers. Let's get the numbers. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got on Snapchat? Okay, no numbers yet. Looking at, I'm on Twitter here looking for this. Let's see what we got. We have PayPal tomorrow, so we'll be streaming that. That's going to be a big one. And we'll see what happens. Okay, Snapchat's red now after hours. It's barely red, though. It's red. Enphase is flat after hours. Enphase is not moving. That's weird. Okay, so looking for the numbers. Still no numbers yet on both of them. But looking for them. I think Snapchat will do good because of Facebook's earnings, and I think their AI subscriber growth is going to be pretty good. I think DAUs is going to be 480 million, MAUs probably 770 million, something like that. So I think they're going to grow those top line, bottom line numbers. But we have to see when these numbers come out. Palantir currently, so those numbers aren't out yet. No, I'm not going to be streaming the call, guys. I'm going to be talking with Dan Ives about Palantir at 5:30, so I won't be able to stream the call. I think the call starts at 5, so won't be able to stream it. Palantir is 21.78 after hours. Okay, so Palantir is basically flat. It's good. It did its thing, 30% for the day. Now we're trying to see these other two. Are there any other two important earnings? It's Snapchat and Enphase. Spotify was in the morning. I don't think there's anything else that important besides those two. They've still not updated. Okay, so they're not updated yet. Snapchat, no, not updated yet on Twitter. Enphase, no, not updated on Twitter. Okay, so we're probably still going to have to wait a couple of... Oh, Elf is today? Elf, interesting. Elf, all right. So Elf Beauty. This is a big one Jeremy's in, so let's pull that one up. Yeah, they haven't updated their numbers either yet, so we'll see what they say. Oh, MicroStrategy. I forgot about that. Damn, there's a lot of companies today. Holy crap, MicroStrategy. Okay, we're going to have to make this one a little bit longer. I thought there weren't that many. Okay, so MicroStrategy IR. Yeah, they're going to be an important one because they're going to give some updates on Bitcoin. MicroStrategy right now after hours is down 1%. Snapchat's up 1%. Enphase is up 0.22%. I'm on all of these websites looking for their press releases. They don't update them at 4 p.m. I don't know why. But they take their time to do it. You'll be live with Dan Ives today. Yes, it's going to be audio only, but I'll still stream it on YouTube. Steve's going to join us on that one as well. So Steve will be there with us. Oh, Chipotle's today? Chipotle? Am I the only one who calls it Chipotle? Chipotle. Okay, so let's go to their IR. This one, Bill Ackman is going to have to see that one. Okay, none of these companies have updated their websites, dude. This is ridiculous. This is a travesty. How do they not update by 4 p.m.? Come on, dude. PayPal's after the bell tomorrow. PayPal's after the bell. I'll be live for PayPal tomorrow, and we'll discuss PayPal. How will we hear your shirts? Me and Dan Ives. You'll still see me, but Fortinet as well. Okay, so damn, this is a big day. Enphase is down 8%. Oh my goodness. Enphase is down 8%. I'm right so far on one of my predictions. Snapchat's up, Enphase is down. Long Snap, short Enphase, emit prediction at 4 p.m. Tuesday, February 5th or 6th is already working, even though I don't actually have a position, but still. MicroStrategy's down 1%. Palantir's chilling at... I'll keep giving updates on Palantir to make sure nothing funky is happening after hours, but we're at 21.83 on Palantir, so no problem on Palantir right now. It's doing okay. Snapchat's up. Enphase now is down 5%. It was just down 8%. What is the news? What is the news, dude? I think their guidance is going to suck. Where is the news? Okay, no, it's not there on their website. It's not there on Twitter. Twitter should have it pretty soon. Someone should post it. Oh, here it is. I think I got it. I got some random website, dude. Stock Titan. Okay, here we go. I got it. Oh, this doesn't look good. This doesn't look that good, guys. Okay, here we go. Revenue of 302. Holy crap. 50% margins. I think they guided for 320 before, unless they lowered that last week in a preliminary guidance. Maybe they did. I don't know. But that margins, I don't think are the best. I think those margins are higher, but I'll have to check on that. 1.5 million microinverters. They made $20 million of profit. Company's revenue for full year 2023 was $2.2 billion, gross margin of 46%. That gross margin, I think, is down from 49%. Okay, where is Enphase stock right now? Enphase is down 4%. That's not too bad, actually. It's only down 4%. It was down 10% for a second. I guess there were some limit orders that got filled after hours immediately. Snapchat's up 1%. We'll get the Snap numbers in a second. But Enphase, I mean, not the best numbers. Now, we don't have guidance. I need guidance. We'll try to get guidance. Okay, let's try to get, we'll go back to that. Let's try to get Snap numbers. Ford is up. How much is Ford up? Ford is up 5. Ford is up 7%. Okay, shout out to the Ford shareholders. Put in the chat if you own Ford for some reason. Let me know. Dude, why hasn't Snapchat updated? They're so annoying. Like, put it on your website, man. Yeah, it's not there. It's not on Twitter either. So they haven't updated for anybody. Snapchat, maybe, I guess it does it at 4:15. They're a little late. Elf's down 5%. Okay, so Elf, the Elf made Santa Claus not happy, I guess. Elf is down 5%. I have their thing pulled up. Let's see if they updated it. Of course they didn't update it. So we got to go to Twitter. Let's see if Twitter updated it. Elf Beauty. Okay, here we go. Yo, this website Stock Titan is getting all the answers. So shout out to Stock Titan. I don't know this website, but they're the ones that keep popping up. Okay, so Elf, we got 85% increase in net sales. Gross margin was up to 71%. Oh, no, they expect they're going to do 71% more in net sales. They're not saying the adjusted EBITDA margins or the gross margins yet. Adjusted EBITDA was $591 million, up 61%. They're expecting to grow 70%, dude. Why is the stock down? They're expected to grow 70%. It's down 7%. What did the market want? 70% growth is not great. That's pretty damn good, dude. They're expecting to grow sales, but unless the margins are down, which is why the street's upset, but it doesn't look, the adjusted EBITDA margins look like they're up. I'm trying to get Snap. Okay, so Elf, let me know if you're in Elf. Snapchat still doesn't have it up. Elf is down 7%. They're going to grow 70% year over year, but they're down 7%. So that's not the best. Enphase Q4 earnings. Yeah, we got that, Nate. So okay, so there you go. Yeah, that's why Enphase is down. The street estimated 328 million. Enphase brought in 303. That's what I thought. So Enphase is down based on that. EPS, they beat. Revenue, they did not beat. Enphase, let's pull them up. Are they down more than 7% now? Enphase, wow, Enphase is up 6%. Wow. Okay, so the street immediately took that report and just threw it away, I guess. They had to have announced something in their guidance that got the street excited. And the algorithms just caught it. Enphase is up. Yeah, it reversed. I don't own Elf. Enphase is up. Okay. So the last one we're looking for now is Snap. And if Chipotle ever releases their numbers, we'll try to get Chipotle. MicroStrategy too, we're waiting for that. Oh, here we go. We got MicroStrategy. All right, so until we get Snapchat, let's go to MicroStrategy. Here we go. First of all, the stock on MSTR, this is Michael Saylor's company, is down 1%, so it's not moving too much. These are their results. They now have, okay, so in Q4, they acquired 31,000 Bitcoins for 1.25 billion or 30. Wow, their average is 39,000 a Bitcoin they bought since the end of Q3. That's not a good average, in my opinion. I mean, Bitcoin's barely above 40,000, right? Okay, so they bought it at 39,000 a coin. They have 190,000 Bitcoin at 31,000 a coin. So they're sitting on a couple billion of profits. Revenues are down 6% year over year, 124 million. Subscription services and revenues are up 23% year over year. So the actual business is not growing. Last quarter, they grew 2%. This quarter, they're not even growing. They're down 6% year over year. The only reason you buy MSTR is for the Bitcoin. The problem is now MSTR isn't really that good of an ETF because you've got the Bitcoin ETF. So why would you buy MSTR? I mean, there's probably a ton of reasons, right? This is just like the high level bear case for MSTR, but I guess that's what they reported. The business is not even, there's no point to even analyze the actual business. Like no one cares about MicroStrategy. Like we only care about the Bitcoin, quite frankly. So they have an average of 31,000 a coin on Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin was 55,000 right now, this would be a whole different story, but it's not. Enphase is down. I mean, MicroStrategy is barely down. So MicroStrategy, the report didn't kill it. Palantir 2185, that's fine. Enphase is now up 1%. And now, oh my God, Snapchat's down 20%. Oh my God. Okay, you remember that Amit long Snapchat short Enphase trade? That didn't go well. Dude, shout out to Josh Brown, who bought Enphase at $17, thinking that it was going to go to 34. I knew that was a bad trade as soon as he announced it. And it looks like, at least right now, it's not the best trade. Why are they down this much? What happened? What happened with Snapchat? By the way, Josh Brown sold out of PayPal today. I hope he didn't buy more Snapchat if he sold out of PayPal. Daily active users increased 10% year over year to 414 million. Okay, so I said 480 million. That was dead wrong. Fourth quarter revenue increased 5% to 1.3 billion. That's fine. Fourth quarter cash flow of 165 million. Why are they down 20%? What did they say? They lost $1 billion. Dude, look at this. This is why I never invested in Snapchat. Even though at $8, the options, probably we should have thrown some money at it because it was stupid at $8. But this is why you don't invest in Snapchat. They lost $1.4 billion in 2022. They lost $1.3 billion in 2023. They lost $100 million less year over year for a company that's been around since 2012 and for a company that's been public since 2017. This is an embarrassment, dude. I mean, like, this is not. I mean, look at the revenue. It's barely grown. Revenue in 22 was 4.602 billion. Revenue in 2023 was 4.606 billion. We're talking like millimeters of growth on Snapchat. The 10% layoffs did not save them here. The street doesn't care. The street does not care. Oh my. Whoever has puts on Snap, yeah, shout out to you. You made some money. Snapchat's down 21%. Now, what did they say that has the street mad? It can't just be the loss. They have to have said something. DAUs are 415 million. So DAUs are up 10% year over year. DAUs increase sequentially. That's daily active users. Total time spent watching Spotlight content, that's like their TikTok thing, is up 175% year over year. Total public stories grew by 125%. We've signed a new publish deal with Spotify. No one gives a fuck about that. Snapchat Plus has 7 million subscribers. I thought it would be more than 7 million, dude. They had 4 million last quarter. I thought they would actually expand that way more. Where's the number that got... Okay, so here's the outlook. Here's guidance. In Q1, we anticipate continued growth of our global community, and as a result, our guidance range is built on the assumption that DAU will be approximately 420 million in Q1. So they're going to increase DAU by 10 million. That's not bad. We are focused on executing our roadmap to deliver improvements to our direct response advertising platform to drive improved results for our advertising partners and accelerate top line growth. Our guidance range is for revenue of 1 billion to 1.1 billion. So that's 15% growth. Based on this revenue range in this quarter, we estimate adjusted EBITDA would be negative 55 and negative 95 million. I don't necessarily know why they're down, though. I mean, they're not giving full year guidance, but I mean, 15% growth quarter over quarter is way better than what they did in the full year. So I don't know why they're down. Maybe because they're not going to be profitable. The street said they're not going to be profitable, or the street's internalizing that they're not going to be profitable. Snapchat now is down 26%. Holy crap. Let me show you guys. I mean, they're not the best earnings. I don't know if it deserves to be down 26%. That's a little intense, dude. Being down 26%. I don't know about that. It's a crappy company, but down 26%. That seems like it's a Snapchat problem more than it is an advertising problem, though. Obviously, we saw what happened with the Meta. So, yeah, that's not good. That's not good on Snapchat. Chipotle reported earnings. Thank you, Nate, for that comment. So 1036, 10 billion, 1036 EPS versus 971, 2.5 billion versus 2.49 billion. So Chipotle beat on the top and bottom line. Their stock is up 3%. Okay, there you go. Chipotle should be up 3%. I mean, Chipotle, it's a good company. It's a very good burrito. Like Chipotle is one of those stocks you don't really want to see them go down or up. You just want to enjoy, that Chipotle is good and Bill Ackman's making money. That's good. Chipotle's up. Now, one thing about Chipotle that's interesting is the state of the consumer. If consumers cannot afford a $12 burrito, we're probably in a tough situation in the economy. So Chipotle, not like McDonald's, missed on some of their numbers, but that wasn't because people were stopped eating hamburgers. It was because of the Red Sea, Middle Eastern stuff, or at least that's what McDonald's blamed it on. Yeah, it's good that Chipotle didn't miss on their numbers, because that means there's a little bit more consumer issues. Amit, do you use Snapchat? I use it once a day to have a streak with my girlfriend, but that's it. Like, other than that, I don't use Snapchat anymore. But I do know it's very popular with Gen Z. Okay, so like when I went, Snapchat now is down, oh my God, 27%. I went to a party at like some friends, my mom's friend's Halloween party, and there were all these like 14, 15-year-old kids. And I was just asking, I was like, yo, what do you guys use? TikTok, YouTube, Snap? And all of them unequivocally, they're like, dude, we use Snapchat. I was like, you don't use YouTube? They're like, we don't care about YouTube. We care about Snapchat. I even said TikTok. They were like, no, Snapchat. And then I realized, oh, you guys all use Snapchat, but all of you guys are fucking broke. None of you pay taxes. I pay taxes, okay? So you guys don't have any damn money to spend on these ads that Snapchat's showing you. So of course they're not going to make any money. So, but granted, I did think that I did think they would increase their DAUs way more than what the street expected. Now down 29%. That's tough, dude. That's tough. Andrew says the balls are better than the burritos. Andrew, we're going to have to fight over that, dude. When I come to California, I'm going to make sure I buy you a burrito and you eat the burrito in front of me, and you change your mind, because we're not going to have these opinions. We're not going to do that. They missed guidance by 6%. Yeah. And they're not profitable. And the stock-based comp in Snapchat is horrendous. First of all, if you're working at Snapchat, why? Like, why would you work at Snapchat, dude? Out of all places, if you're a 10X engineer, you want to work to make like sexting more fun for people. Like, come on, dude. There's got to be so many better opportunities, but that's what we're seeing on Snapchat. Let's get an update from Ford and hear what they have to say. Ford is up 7%. Let's hear what CNBC is saying.
Down your full pure electric vehicle production outside of Detroit, at your plant outside of Detroit, cutting it down starting April 1st as the market, the growth there has just not been as strong as many expected it to be. Do you think that's going to change even more once we get into the second quarter and the third quarter?
Well, we're adjusting based on where the consumer's at. What we're finding is that you move past the early adopters into the early majority. They're just accepting the vehicles at a slower pace. And that's why the flexibility we have.
Real quick, Palantir 2190 after hours.
And the choice we have is key. But it's not the same around the country, Phil. When you look at the West Coast, Washington, California, Oregon, EV mix is 30% of our F-Series sales. EV and HEV mix is 50% of our sales. So the adoption is going to be different around the country at different paces. And with our flexibility, we can meet the consumer where they're at.
John, thanks for being here with us on Overtime. Toyota, your competitor, said today it's going to invest $1.3 billion at its Kentucky facility.
Okay, we'll get back to that later, and we'll see what else is happening. Okay, so Fortinet is up 14%. Let's try to get the results on those. Fortinet, this is a company, this was the first company Steve and I covered on our Valuation Nation podcast. Okay, so let's pull up their numbers. That one seems very exciting right now. They're up a lot. Fortinet, IR. So let's pull them up. So top line numbers on Fortinet. Here we go. Let me show you guys this. Total revenue of $1.42 billion. That's up 10% year over year. That's incredible. $1.86 billion on billings. GAAP income of $385 million. They bought back $896 million in shares. And it looks like they made a profit of $385 million. That's not bad for Fortinet. Fortinet, for those that don't know, is a cybersecurity company. It's very similar to CrowdStrike, even though they're in a sort of different range. Ryan, thank you for the $2 super chat. Are you in the $30 by 30 for Palantir Club? If you mean by 2030, I think there'll be more than $30 by 2030. But I don't know what you mean by 30. But yes, I think Palantir can get to $30, hopefully. Maybe even this year. We'll see what happens. Total revenue of Fortinet, $5.3 billion, up 20% year over year. Service revenue, $3.38 billion, up 28% year over year. These are not bad numbers. A lot of people were like, oh, Palantir's only growing 20% year over year. Fortinet's a SaaS company. They're going 20% year over year. They did $5.3 billion. Like growing 20% year over year is still pretty good. Obviously, you want to see that expand. But there are SaaS companies that are growing not literally at 30, 40, 50%. They're growing at 20%, but they're still putting up decent numbers because their adjusted operating income margins are high. So they have a ton of free cash flow. So they can use a ton of cash to do whatever the hell they need to do, even if the top line growth is not that high. GAAP operating income of $1.24 billion. That's incredible. That's up 28% year over year. Free cash flow of $1.73 billion, and they paid They bought back $1.5 billion worth of shares. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Not bad at all. Brian says, admit, I sold all my Palantir for Snapchat on Friday. Where do I go from here? I'm pretty sure you're kidding. But if you actually did do that, I would sell your Snapchat and just get back into Palantir. I would take that loss. Dude, down 30%. We've seen Snapchat down 30%, I think like 3 times in the past couple years. 2022, they issued preliminary guidance and they fell 30% that day. I think end of 2022, they fell. 2023, obviously in the beginning, they fell to $8, but then they rebounded to 17. This is tough for Snapchat shareholders to deal with, dude. This is very, very, very tough. Enphase right now, up 2.7%. I don't know how Enphase is alive right now, dude. That report looked ugly. I'm gonna try to get their report. Let's try to get their guidance. Yeah, because they should be listed now. Let's try to get their guidance. Maybe their guidance was good enough. All right, here we go. We got Enphase. We finally got Enphase. We finally got Enphase. What does Fortinet do? They do cybersecurity. I don't know exactly what they do in cybersecurity. I should know this because I did a whole podcast on them like 4 weeks ago. But they're in the cybersecurity space. It's a bit different than CrowdStrike, though. CrowdStrike does a sort of a different type of packaging of how they sell their cybersecurity services. But they're in that sector. They're a SaaS business. The thing people were not happy about Fortinet is the valuation. The market cap was $57 billion last time I checked. 51 billion. So now, I mean, tomorrow it's probably going to be up about 3-5 billion. But sometimes the valuation is high, but the company's growing, and that's all that matters. Okay, so Enphase, revenue of $302 million, gross GAAP margins of 48.5, free cash flow of $15 million, GAAP net income of $20.9 million. All right, I want to see the outlook. Where's the outlook? Where's the outlook? They, in the fourth quarter, they bought 1 million shares for $84. Wow, that's not bad. They spent $100 million and they bought back 1.1 million shares for 84 a share. That's actually very bullish if you're an Enphase shareholder. You should be very bullish about that. That's great. They bought back 1 million shares, dude, and they only spend 100 million out of the 1 billion that they authorized. That's not bad at all. Okay, where's the guidance? That's what matters the most. Where's the guidance? So, oh my God, how is Enphase up right now? Their revenue is guiding for 260 to 300 million. Why is this stock up right now? That is ridiculous guidance. That is horrible. Palantir, $21.98. Palantir is $22 after hours, folks. We are $22 after hours. Going back to Enphase. Enphase is up 4%. I don't know who is buying Enphase, why the street is buying Enphase. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, or maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but I don't think that's great guidance, dude. That's like, dude, they were doing 750 million 3 quarters ago. For that, I mean, well, you could argue the stock sold off aggressively, so I guess that's the bull case for why it's maybe it's not like 100 million, right? Versus that. You know, it was so funny. I was told by my fellow friends on the Finance Junkies that what's the catalyst for Palantir? What's the catalyst for Palantir? For Enphase, we have solar. Solar penetration is, you know, that's the catalyst. And I said there was 2 letters that were the catalyst for Palantir back when Palantir was $12. It was A and it was I. And they didn't believe me, dude. They didn't believe. And it's not just them, but I talked to Enphase shareholders for the past year. They said solar is a catalyst. Palantir doesn't have a catalyst. The catalyst for Palantir was so fucking obvious. It's AI. Like what? Like it's AI. Solar panels. Does anyone really care about solar panels, dude? Like, as long as the lights turn on, I don't really give a shit. So, I mean, solar panels are a luxury, you know, but, you know, if businesses making sure they don't die due to competition and they need an AI-based operating system, yeah, that's not a luxury. You need you need Snapchat. Oh my, you need AI, and Palantir is probably offering the best AI. So that's what we're seeing right now for Enphase. Enphase is up 4.9%. Look, I'm happy for Enphase shareholders, but I don't know why you would buy this stock with that guidance, dude. That guidance is horrendous. Snapchat's still down 28%. Palantir, $22.06 after hours. $22.06 after hours right now. Cool. So we're at 22.06. Now we got to see if that sustains itself. Ford is up 6% after hours. Yeah, let me pull up the Ford numbers. I think they beat on EPS and revenue. Ford IR. Let's just get a quick look at their numbers, and then we'll go back to Palantir. Ford. Where's their numbers? Reports, filings, earnings, press release. Okay, so top line numbers on Ford. Fourth quarter revenue, $46 billion. They lost $526 million. They had 4.3 billion in net income for the year. Outlook for 2024 includes, I don't know why they're up either. Like, I mean, I probably have to look at expectations, but Ford numbers seem average. They don't seem incredible, but they're okay. Palantir's up 0.87%. Where's Ford right now? Ford it's up 6%. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are okay. I mean, they're not insane. I don't know what the expectations were, but they lost 526 million last quarter. That's interesting. Okay, cool. So I mean, Ford is up. If you have Ford, then Ford is up. So that's not too bad. But obviously, you know, if you're investing in Ford, you're investing for the dividend. I mean, you're not really investing in it for growth. I bought Enphase today. I know when stocks beaten up before. Warning: 75% likely going to jump. Look, Enphase is probably going to jump. It's absolutely beaten up. It's down from 340. My thing is that interest rates are not coming down anytime soon. And when they do come down, it's going to take time for people to start financing solar. Like, let's say interest rates come down 50 basis points. Solar is still expensive at 4.5% versus 1% like 3 years ago, right? So even if it's not 5.5% and it's up and it's down 4.5%, it's still hard to finance that stuff. Enphase is up 10% after hours. I mean, look, congrats to shareholders, but I don't know. I don't like that guidance. I would not be buying it on that guidance, especially if rates don't come down for a while. Granted, the stock has gotten beaten up, so I understand the stock's gotten beaten up pretty badly, but the stock's also recovered. It went to 72. It's at 100. Does it really deserve to go back to 114 right now? I don't know. We'll see. Look at that margin emit. Yeah, but look at that revenue, Rango. Look at that revenue guidance, dude. This is a company doing 800 million in revenue. Now it's going to guide for 260. Like, it's not that their margins are bad. It's just that it's going to take time for rates to come down and for this revenue thing to materialize and for them to get back to normal. You know, market cap of 13 billion. I'm not saying it's expensive, but I'm definitely not saying that it's oh my God, we have to buy the dip on this, given that guidance. But you know more about it than me, Rango. You're heavier in Enphase. So the bottom is in. All right. We'll see. Maybe the bottom is in. Maybe the bottom is. Did Palantir get a new contract today? Yes. Palantir got a $650 million contract with the General Administrative Services. I don't even know what the hell that means. And I've been trying to figure out all day, but it's a part of the US government that is very bureaucratic from my research and like needs a lot of help. Now, the one thing I'm hesitating on confirming is if Palantir got all 650 million. I heard from some sources that this is a 14 vendor contract, meaning 14 vendors are going to be sharing this money. I don't know yet. I will probably know by tomorrow. If anyone has any information, please confirm in the chat. But I don't know if, oh, yes, multiple winners. Oh, really? Lunar says there's multiple winners and the 650 million is Palantir's portion. Dude, if that's right, which I think it's right, because on the thing, let me show you guys that thing again. On the website, it looks like they were awarding 650 million to just Palantir. Like, let me show you this website one more time, and let you guys tell me if I'm crazy or not. But it did look like that. So if the 650 million is only for Palantir, it's a 5-year contract. It expires 2029. That's 130 million a year. This is on sam.gov. Look at that. 650 million. Contract awarded name Palantir, Denver, Colorado. I mean, dude, if Palantir got all 650, look at this, ending 2029. That's 5 years. So 130 million a year. That's 32 million a quarter for the next 5 years. 32 million booked a quarter, ready to go. Come on, bro. Come on. Don't do the SoFi Palantir comparisons. Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. We're definitely going to talk about that. But come on, dude. 650 million. Luna says bottom of page. Bottom of page. What does it say bottom of page? Where does it say that? What am I looking at, Lunar? What am I supposed to press here? Bottom of page. You're talking about this thing, combined synopsis? Oh, multiple award schedule. Is this the link? Multiple award schedule. I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I'm not sure if I'm looking at the right thing here. Oh, I see what you're saying here. Hold on. No, these are different awards. These are different awards. Okay. Yeah, tell me exactly what I'm supposed to be looking at so I can get the right thing, because I'm blanking on it right now. But click on history. Okay. Well, I trust you, Lunar, if you checked it. If it's 650 million for us, then it seems like, yeah, I just checked the history. Yeah, I'm looking at multiple awards right now. And that's where you're saying there's multiple vendors. Okay, got you. Look, dude, 650 million. That's a lot. That's a lot of fucking money. For 5 years, that's a lot. That means government reacceleration is happening. These are all the awards started on December 6th. These are a lot of things that are coming into place. And that is why, guys, Palantir is up right now at 22. It's at 21.97. But that's why it went up to $22. This news, I reported at, what time did I tweet this thing? Let me see. I tweeted at 1:32 p.m. I really don't think the street saw this news until like 2 p.m. because at 1:32 the stock was closer to 21.5, and then by 2:15 the stock just like catapulted to $22. And I think that's when the algorithms were like 650 million, 5 years, Palantir, boom, buy the stock, right? And that's kind of how it ends up happening. So that's exciting. That's very, 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 very exciting. Not bad. We'll get more clarity on this tomorrow. I'll do some more research and figure out exactly what this contract is, but this is not bad at all. This is not bad at all. This is crazy. Okay, let's go back to ELF. Where's ELF? Where's ELF? Is ELF still down? So Palantir's up. Fortinet's up 15%. Enphase is up 5%, not up 10% anymore. Snapchat's still down 30%. ELF Beauty is, there we go, you're green. ELF is green. Yeah, it should be green, dude. They're guiding for 70% sales growth year over year. ELF is a makeup company. They need to be selling makeup. They're guiding to sell 70% more makeup than they sold before. I mean, it deserves to be up. Let's pull up their exact IR. The thing should be posted now. Third quarter, press release. I'm looking for new press releases. Okay, here we go. ELF announces third quarter fiscal results. Okay, here we go. Let's look at it. Let's see if ELF can actually go to the North Pole and keep going higher. ELF, net sales increased 85% to 270 million last quarter. Goodness gracious, dude. 85%. In Q3, we grew net sales by 85% and market share by 305 basis points, marking our 20th consecutive quarter of growth. Dude, that is crazy. People are really loving this makeup. That is incredible, dude. And I think their guidance is what's got them up, at least up 1% right now. They updated their net sales to about 990 million. They raised their guidance from 906 million to 990 million for full year 2024. They're going to do about $93 million more in net sales. That's why they're going to increase revenue by 70% or increase sales by 70%. Wow. They have 72 million in cash, 164 million in long-term debt. And they beat on EPS as well. This is a great quarter for ELF. Great quarter for ELF. I'm surprised they're not up even more. They're up 13.5%. Okay, so they must have just jumped. Yeah, look at that. Wait, no, why is Webull saying 1%? No, Webull's saying 1%. They're not up 13.5%. So it must be another company that Tesla, it must be another company that you mentioned, not ELF, because ELF is on my side, it's only up 1%. Unless I'm looking at the wrong one. Let me look at Robinhood real quick. Let's see if there's any difference there. Snapchat's still down 30%. ELF on Robinhood it's up 1%. Yeah, it's just 1%. Just 1%. Yeah. Zach says, should I roll over my Palantir call gains from today in Robinhood $15 calls for June expiration? So you have $15 calls expiring in June. Honestly, Zach, if I were you, I mean, I would just sell the calls and take the gains, man. Like I would take, if they're expired with options, you don't play around. If those were expiring in 2026, I would say, don't worry about it. It's not financial advice, but if I had Palantir calls for $15 that were expiring in June and Palantir's up 30% in a day, I'm taking the fucking money. This is like some days you got to take the money, especially on options, especially if they're expiring in 4 months. Yeah, take the money on that. I personally, that's not financial advice. That's what I would do if you're up. I know you think there's a margin of safety between 15 and 21, but the stock was 16 3 days ago and you were barely up on those calls. Now you're up a lot on those calls. I would take those profits if I were you. Tesla says my brokerage freak spiked, got all excited, is rebounds now. Okay, got it. Makes sense. Let's go back to CNBC, see what these guys are saying, see who they're talking about. Palantir still at that 2190 range after hours. Again, guys, we have had an incredible day for Palantir. This has been one of the most monumental days, not just because of the stock action, but because of the actual growth on Palantir. Oh, wow. We've got some news on Disney. We've got some huge news on Disney.
Bob Iger will join us tomorrow.
Just about some kind from all sports fans. Announcing service that they hope at least is going.
This is some big news on Disney that just announced something with Fox and Discovery, Warner Brothers. Here we go.
Hey, Morgan. Yeah, we've got some news from the world of streaming and sports that's bringing together some important names to introduce a new streaming service that they hope at least is going to meet a lot of sports fans' needs. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery all partnering on a new streaming sports platform that will offer all of their current sports programming available to cable subscribers on this new, yet to be named, yet to be priced app. But they are saying, in fact, according to sources, it will be available as soon as the fall of this year. It does not, as I said, have a name or a price. And in fact, as well, my understanding is there has not yet been a definitive agreement reached by the three parties. That said, planned announcement very shortly. Press release may even, in fact, be out by now. ESPN, Fox, and Warner all forming this JV to launch this streaming service in the U.S. This would be in addition, as I said, to their existing Fox Sports, TNT, all the different properties under the Warner Brothers Discovery overall company, and ESPN, as well as ESPN Plus. So those still would obviously be in existence, and there might as well be and will continue to be a development by ESPN, as my understanding, of its own, perhaps direct-to-consumer programming. That said, this could be, an important category killer, not including our parent company, Comcast, and NBC Sports, and not including Paramount, CBS, but bringing together a lot of sports programming. We're talking about football, basketball, baseball, hockey, a lot of college sports, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the Big East, the SEC, and on from there, NCAA championships.
I don't understand why they're really doing this. It seems like streaming has gotten so bad as a business that they have to all team up together. This is really interesting.
Golf, Grand Slam tennis, cycling, soccer, even combat sports, Morgan, such as the UFC Top Rank. So a lot there conceivably for sports fans, and obviously geared towards those who no longer have or perhaps never had a cable subscription. We don't like those people, but we do have to talk about them occasionally.
Fubo on this news is down 9%. I still don't understand why they're launching that type of I don't get it, dude. It seems like YouTube and Netflix are winning. Fubo's down 7% on that news. That's really weird, dude. I don't understand this. Does anyone understand why they're all teaming up together? I guess you could argue that instead of having silos of sports streaming in particular across all these other platforms, if you just launch one subscription and split the revenues between everybody, that's a better model. But that's just another subscription. Everyone has to. It's a sign of desperation. Yeah, it feels like a sign of desperation. John says, just like they did on cable, to streaming is just going to reconsolidate and bundle everything just to split back up and do it all over again. I agree. What needs to happen is for Peacock to go away, for Paramount to go away, or license your content to Netflix, put The Office and Full House back on Netflix like you had in 2016, and just make Netflix and just take the money from Netflix. Stop trying to make your own stupid $7 a month service that no one cares about. That's what needs to happen, but that's not going to happen because, they don't want to work with Netflix. Kelly says they don't stand a chance individually. Yeah, they probably don't. When does Enphase have their earnings call? What time? Is it at 5 or is it right now? When is their call? Does anyone know? When is their call? I'm trying to see this. It's at 4:30. It's 4:30 Eastern. Do we want to listen to the Enphase call? We can pull that up. Do we want to do it? What do you guys think? I'm going to be here till 5:15-ish. Then I got to go. Really 5:20. Do we want to do that or no? If not, we can just keep going through the ring of other stocks. If you really want to hear Enphase, maybe you can go to, there's probably someone else streaming it on YouTube, or we can listen to them. I mean, it's just not that exciting, dude. Enphase is not that, unless we really want to. Do we really want to listen to Badri talk about fucking solar panels, dude? Do we really want to? I guess we should probably, because it's all about the solar world and stuff. It seems kind of boring though. Carlos is probably not going to do it, dude. If Carlos hasn't texted me yet, he probably can't be on. He's probably busy right now. Yeah, Carlos is probably not going to make it. Okay, I'm getting a bunch of no's and I'm getting a bunch of yeses. I think no. I think we just keep analyzing stocks, dude. Well, what are we gonna? We're gonna listen. This is not something that fun. I would honestly rather listen to Snapchat's call. I want to see Evan Spiegel justify this fucking quarter, dude. I'd rather hear him say that. Is that on right now? Let's see. Is that on? No, that's going to be, I think that's going to be later. It seems like that's going to be later. Microinverters emit. Yeah, sorry, microinverters. Microinverters. Okay, we'll do a poll. We'll do a poll. Please make sure the no's win over the yeses on this poll. Dude, I don't, dude. Who cares about microinverters? It's like they're microinverters, dude. This is why I've been Vitaly and Carlos are like, it's the future. I'm like, it's microinverters. Who gives a shit? It's microinverters. Stream and face call. Or we can keep speculating on Palantir. That's more fun. We can talk about them. Okay, let's see what you guys think. Palantir right now, after hours, is at 2182. Okay, so we're seeing a bit of a sell-off right here on Palantir, 2182. And they're going to save the planet. Maybe. Who knows, man? Who knows if they actually save the planet? Palantir at 2182. Okay, so if we don't stream Enphase, I do want to talk about Palantir covered calls right now because the premiums on them are incredibly juicy. I was talking with Steve. He was looking at some of these covered call premiums. They're really giving you a lot of money. So we can talk about that as a strategy, and we can keep going from there. And then we can look at some of these other stocks. Okay, I think we got the nose, man. If you really do want to watch it, I'm sure you can Google Enphase YouTube call or Enphase earnings call on YouTube, and you'll find it if you really, really care about it. But I don't know, dude. I don't know if it's that interesting to listen to. It's not Google or Microsoft. These are microinverters. This is just not that fun. So maybe we'll talk about expectations for the rest of the week. We'll go through some questions. We'll talk about PayPal. We can talk about a bunch of stuff. I'm here till 5:15. And we're gonna do Dan Ives at 5:30. So I'm gonna have a separate stream at 5:30. It's gonna be an audio stream, but you guys will see me talking, and we'll be live with Dan Ives talking about his thoughts on Palantir and why he raised his price target for Palantir. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Okay, so let's go. Well, let me set up a bunch of topics. Here we go. We got a bunch of things we'll talk about. We'll do this, and then we'll do a ton of other things. So I think let's start off with what I'm looking at right now in the world of Palantir and my thoughts and expectations right here on the stock. So I was talking to Steve for a bit, and the big thing that I was talking to him about is where does Palantir stop? Because the one thing I think we all know is that eventually there tends to be a bit of a pullback, right? Not just in Palantir, but in the broader equity markets. That tends to happen. And when that does tend to happen, you don't want to have your hand stuck in the cookie jar. And as a result of that, you need to be able to kind of position yourself in a meaningful way. So in the context of Palantir, yeah, I'll stream the Dan Ives thing on YouTube. It'll be a Twitter Spaces, but I'll stream it on YouTube as well. In the context of Palantir, the $25 and $30 call options for selling covered calls that are expiring months from now are giving some juicy premiums. Like at one point when it was at $21.90, you were getting 38 cents a share for $40 June expirations. That means if Palantir doesn't get to $40 by June, you're getting 38 cents a share on every contract on 100 shares, which is not bad in terms of a premium. Right? Usually these premiums are a couple cents. So the market is basically willing to give a very juicy premium to people that are able to put their shares up for sale or potential sale if the stock gets to 40. So then the question is, can the stock get from 22 right now to 40? I don't know about that, right? And so I think that is one thing everyone wants to think about right here is that Palantir is at 21.78. We've seen this story over and over and over again. We've been at this 21 level almost 3 times so far. And every time that's happened, we see a pullback. Now, I think the numbers are strong enough to not warrant another pullback this time. I really do. The whole market could fall, right? And then Palantir falls. But Palantir on its own, it's up 30% on the day. It just seems hard to imagine that it's going to fall another, 17, 18% and give up all of those gains. But if it does come down a little bit, it's going to restart the cycle of playing in this kind of teetering spot where it's just going back and forth and not really having a ton of momentum. Right now, we have 420 million shares traded on the day. That's kind of poetic, 420 million shares. And it would make your covered calls very safe if you have a $40 strike by June. The question is, how does Palantir get to $40 by June? And I think the way Palantir gets to $40 by June is if they grow massively. Now, $40 would be an $80 billion market cap for a company doing $2.6 billion in revenue. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think the covered call premiums are pretty juicy right here. And it's not something, it's something to think about when it comes to taking advantage. But as Lunar says, it does feel a little bit different this time, given the growth is there. Now, the question is, for Palantir to double by June, is that going to happen? I personally, like, I just don't think that's happening, right? I think $30 by the end of the year is reasonable, especially with these numbers now. A doubling by June is tough. But there could be a GameStop situation here. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? This is what I was talking to Steve about. He said there could be a GameStop thing here. I'm like, no, there's not a short squeeze. There's only 5% of the stocks sold short, so there's no GameStop thing. His argument, which is not unreasonable, by the way, Enphase up 8%, is that GameStop wasn't just people shorting the stock and then squeezing them. GameStop was people just buying the stock to buy the stock, right? So it was people willing to buy it at 80 and then 90 and then 100 and then 150 and then 200, 230, 250, 300, 340, 450, 470, 483. It gets to the top. And then our boy Vlad gets rid of the buy button. Then the whole thing goes. Shout out to Robinhood, but Robinhood. I hope they don't get rid of the buy button or the sell button when they have their earnings the next week. But the point is, people were willing to just keep buying on top of each other. That could happen to Palantir. I know the float is insane at 2 billion shares, but the reason that could keep happening is if they pull up another 2 quarters of excellent growth, you could see momentum that just continues to pull forward and forward and forward in the context of Palantir. Harold in the chat says pull back to $15, $17 range by end of February, slow build back to low 20s by the end of Q1. I don't think that's going to happen, but is that possible? 1000%. It could absolutely pull back to 15, 17, especially if the S&P pulls back to 450, which is also possible given we're at all-time highs. And then we slowly build our way back up into the low 20s. Or, and this is what I was talking about with a couple other friends today as well, could $20 be the official floor for Palantir? Like, could it be the floor? Could it be the floor? You step on the floor and the floor doesn't crack. Like, it's actually the floor. Right now, gun to my head, I would say no. Because up 30% in a day, I think it has to be above 21 for like the next 6 weeks to say third. Like, it had to be above 15 for almost 3 months for us to be like, okay, 15 is not happening anymore. You know, all of us thought it could happen, but most of us were like 16 is kind of like the floor. It would really have to maintain this $20 to $21 range in order for it to happen. Are you selling covered calls? No, I'm not. I'm not selling covered calls. I sell cash secured puts on Palantir, but not covered calls. I just want to, I would rather leave the shares alone there. But from that perspective, it could absolutely fall back to 15, 17, but it could stay at a floor of 20 if it finally capitulates over the next couple months. I just don't know if that happens. And the reason for that is because the market's at an all-time high. And this has been the biggest thing I've been struggling with trying to analyze these markets over the past couple weeks. NVIDIA, which took a beating today, down about, and I say beating, it's only down 1.6%. It's still at $682 freaking dollars, but it's not at 700 anymore. The S&P is at 494, 493.56 after hours. Like, the S&P is $5 away from 500. All the price targets on the street were 5,100. 5,200 is the most optimistic, and that's Tom Lee. So Tom Lee thinks this bad boy's coming down 10%, and then it's going to hit 5,200. If that's the case, we're going to get a really good opportunity to buy the Palantir dip. If the S&P falls 10% or 7%, I think Tom Lee thinks it's 7%, we are going to get a phenomenal opportunity to buy Palantir again. And I think that's the really hard question here, right? That's the really hard question because so many of us, even I publicly said today, anything under 20 is a buy. For the past 7 months, I've been saying anything under 15 is a buy. For now, I've changed my mind. Given the new numbers, the growth is there. Under 20, I believe it's not a horrible buy. You should have a 10-year time horizon. That's okay. But if Palantir falls back to 15 because the S&P not collapses, but we have a natural pullback, and then we get back to all-time highs towards the end of the year with that election cycle and when Jay Powell mysteriously cuts some rates before the election, that's when that would be a really good dip given this growth. So I think my point here is that, and then we'll move on. We've been through this euphoria many times. We've seen Palantir go up all the way like this many times, and it's fallen back down. I think you have to be very careful getting into this, whether they're options or shares, and the reason I'm saying this is not because of Palantir's numbers. Last quarter, I said this because of Palantir's numbers. The numbers weren't good enough. This quarter, I'm not saying it because of the numbers. The reason I'm saying it now is because Palantir is just one stock in the market. And if the market takes a break, which maybe it doesn't, maybe 2024 is just a fucking bull, but if it does, Palantir is going to take a break as well. Every company is going to take a break, right? We've seen this with Tesla. Tesla's taking a break. It was they're on timeout right now. They were really being naughty, and they were like, "All right, you're on timeout. You're not." And by the way, Elon's been tweeting ridiculous shit today. Absolutely insane. I mean, as a Tesla shareholder, it's just incredible to see this guy's tweeting this type of shit. But it might take a break as well. So We're going to have to see. Justin, just joining the live stream now. Did Palantir win a new deal? Yes, Palantir won a $650 million deal with the General Administrative Services. The deal is here on Twitter. Let me tweet. Let me just show you the tweet. And while I'm showing you guys the tweet, I will put my Twitter in the description in the chat. If you are not following me on Twitter, please make sure to follow me on Twitter. This is the platform where you're going to get all the updates on Palantir. And just, I mean, if you care about Palantir, you should be having a Twitter account just to follow Palantir updates. So please make sure you're on Twitter and please make sure to follow me there. So Palantir, $650 million, General Services Administration. I'm going to learn a lot more about this tonight to try to get a lot more due diligence on like what this contract is, what it means for Palantir. So I'll have updates tomorrow, but really awesome deal for Palantir. Oh, let me show you guys another thing. So we got a ton of upgrades across the board. So I tweeted this out today. That's another reason you got to be on Twitter. Bank of America, Mariana upgraded them to $24. So here's the research. Core Points, leader in AI. Boot camps do in 10 hours what internal teams do in 10 months. U.S. government is reaccelerating through several channels. So even though government growth is slow, they believe it's going to reaccelerate. And we got $650 million freaking dollars today. So yeah, I would say she's right that it's starting to accelerate. And ultimately, she sees the free cash flow margin of 34% and 3.7 billion of net cash being very exciting. So that's Mariana's thesis in a nutshell for why it's up. Okay, let's talk about PayPal. I'm going to take a 10-second break to take a drink of this Gatorade that is now infused with water since the ice melted. So it's going to be nasty, but we'll take a little break and then we'll talk about PayPal. Okay, PayPal. Here we go. PayPal's tomorrow. I have a PayPal position. I want to sell the hell out of my PayPal position and buy Palantir. That's what I want to do. Dude, that's Celsius. It's still here. I haven't taken a sip of it last night. It is disgusting, dude. It is so bad. I don't know how people drink this thing. It is so bad. It is so. It's better than Celsius. Oh, God, it's better than Celsius. Gatorade with water-filled ice is water-filled ice. That doesn't make sense. But you get my point. Ice melted water into the Gatorade. It's better than Celsius. I would drink it over Celsius any day of the week. Okay, PayPal. So let's talk about PayPal. Now, I was just kidding saying I want to sell my PayPal for Palantir, even though I do want to sell my PayPal for Palantir, but I want to make some money on these freaking options I have before I buy Palantir. And that was always the goal. The goal was, let me put some money in, let me get some money out, and then let's put it into Palantir. Unfortunately, PayPal has decided to take its merry old time to try to get me my money back so that I could be able to buy Palantir. We got Derek in the chat. As soon as I said PayPal, he's like, PayPal? So a lot of people have a lot of money on PayPal, okay? Everyone knows Jesse. Jesse's a friend of the channel. This dude has like 3,000 contracts for the $140 strike. Let's pull up those options right now as well. Let's see how liquid they are. But what are my thoughts on PayPal? I think the stock should do well tomorrow because I don't know how low we can go at this point. The stock was up 3% today. I think the street's excited for their earnings, or at least giving them some anticipatory excitement. The January 2025 $140 call has 177,000 contracts that are open in open interest. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bullish. You have market makers opening up those contracts, right? That doesn't mean like that doesn't mean everyone's betting on PayPal, but that does mean there's a significant amount of activity for PayPal and their excitement. Okay. Derek also has he has like 3,000 contracts too, right? So if you do the numbers on some of the contracts that people like Derek and Jesse have, if PayPal gets to even $100, they're going to make like $5, $6, $7 million, right? Because the asymmetric opportunity between PayPal is ridiculous in the context of the valuation. Remember, the street is expecting, basically 1 to 2% growth over the next 10 years. PayPal is going to do probably 9 to 10%. If they can do 12 or 15, that would be incredible. The street's expecting free cash flow of 4.4 billion for the next 10 years. If PayPal can do a little bit more than that every single year, that's going to be really good. And I don't think the street has taken into account I struggle to say this, but innovations, we'll call them innovations, even though maybe they're not the most innovative, but they are new features that PayPal has introduced to the platform. And maybe tomorrow, if they really bring in some meaningful guidance, they're going to show that those innovations are taking into effect. So right now, PayPal's at 63.71. Let's just look at the year to date on PayPal in terms of it as a stock. Actually, let's look at the 5-year here. Let's look at the 5-year. So PayPal 5 years ago, 2017 was when we were $62. Okay, right now we're $63. So the market is saying that over the past 7 years, after it ran up all the way to 310 during the bubble of 2021, and it collapsed all the way back down, it's not worth any much more than it was in 2017. I think the market's wrong about that. I think the market is stupidly wrong about that. And a lot of times the market ends up getting these things wrong. And you know why the market gets these things wrong? Because analysts are stupid. And the reason analysts are stupid is because Brent Thill, and I'm not calling him stupid, but the very nature of analysts, he downgraded Palantir to $13 2 weeks ago. Today, he upgraded them to 22. Like, I can understand 13 to 15, 13 to 16, 13 to 18. To go from 13 to $22 in a day, like that just means your analysis was so bad 2 weeks ago that you were so ashamed that you couldn't like be below, you know, $22 on Palantir because you thought that would be underselling it. All of the analysts have said PayPal is dead money. They're going to be eaten away by Apple Pay, yada, 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 yada. I think they're wrong. I think all of them are wrong. And the reason I think all of them are wrong is primarily because of the fact that PayPal's average transactions per customers are growing. PayPal's average gross GMV, gross merchandising volumes, is growing. And so I'm going to pull up their IR from Q3 right now just to show you guys. Like, they are not a business that is slowing down outside of top line revenue growth and transaction margins. Outside of those two metrics, which I think will easily be solved by Braintree growing a little bit better, that should be able to solve the transaction margins problem. PayPal should be fine. And then the street should be like, holy crap, this is like Meta at 88. Why the hell are we allowing it to be, you know, stuck at this level? Enphase is up at 15%. Enphase is up 11%. Okay, so Badri is probably talking something on the call that the analysts like. So Enphase is up. Palantir is down $21.77, still up about 26% for the day. Nvidia is down about 1%. Where's Snapchat? Is Snapchat still down? Snapchat is down 32%. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, dude. This is insane. This is insane. Derek thinks Palantir can get to $18 or $19 before next earnings. Maybe, dude. Maybe. I mean, maybe it stays at 20, maybe it gets to 18, 19. I think we'll have to see, but we've been through the story with Palantir many times where it pumps this high and then comes back down. You know, maybe it stays this time. Maybe it falls off a little bit. We will see. Okay, so on PayPal, look at some of these numbers. Maybe some of you guys haven't seen these numbers, but total payment volume increased 15% year over year. 388 billion. This is a company that does 3.8 billion of total payment volume a day. And that's probably growing in Q4. Venmo is processed $68 billion in Q3. That was incredible. Okay, here's another metric. This is the most important one. Everyone's like, okay, the active accounts are going down because as you can see, we were at 435 million in Q4 2022. Now we're at 428 million. So everyone's like, oh, active accounts are going down. Yeah, but the transactions per active account, the TPA, is growing 13%. So when you look at the amount of transactions that users are doing, which is how people make money, right? Which is how PayPal makes money off the fees, off the transactions. You would rather have more engaged users than just more accounts on the platform, right? Like any business would rather have quality over quantity when it comes to them charging a revenue or a subscription or like having a sort of average revenue per user type of milestone, right? You want to have a broader average revenue per user than simply a lot more users. So that's really important. Now, this is the part that's getting them hit. Transaction margins right here. It was 51% 18 months ago. Now it's at 45%. That to me is the biggest reason, along with the assumptions of competition that, or like the narrative of competition for why PayPal is down. Snapchat's down now 31%. And so if they can get this number to go up, Alex Chris doesn't need to shock the world. He literally just needs to make 45.4 go to 46. If he can increase it by 0.6, I think the street will at least be like, all right, we're not selling it off. And then if he says anything else that's good, maybe the street will reward him with some more gains. But to me, the transaction margins will go up, the TPV will go up, the GMV will grow up, will go up, the gross merchandising volume, the transactions per active account, all those go up, and then revenue, the street's expecting 9%. Let's say they bring in 10% year-over-year growth. I think PayPal should get closer to $70. Maybe not tomorrow, but at least in the coming weeks. I just don't see PayPal going back down to the $50 range. Now, we did have Josh Brown sell out of PayPal today, so I'm going to give his perspective. Keep in mind, he did buy Snapchat the other day, but I want to hear his reason for why he got rid of PayPal and why he ended up selling. So here's what he had to say.
What happened on that, I can't remember what investor day or whatever it was, where the stock was down a lot as the CEO was announcing these new initiatives. Now you've sold out of it completely. Why?
I don't trust these guys. And I also think that the market came into this year hot as a pistol. And I'm just looking at breadth start to turn negative. I'm not sure. Jimmy was talking about things broadening out. It's actually the opposite. We're at 62% of the S&P names are above their 50-day. It was 90% coming into the start of the year. 90 is probably too hot. 60 could very quickly go to 40. I'm looking at the average RSI in the S&P 500 at 53, right at the historic average. So not, anything to be alarmed about, but certainly has room to fall from there as well. So I just think overall, it's probably not the best environment to have your 20th favorite stock going into earnings. And if I'm wrong and they have a great report or they get people excited, I'm willing to miss out. I'm not willing to look at the stock, back in the mid 50s where I first bought in, or worse. And honestly, I think it's going to be a couple of quarters after the fiasco 2 weeks ago before anybody feels really good about the direction here and the new tech initiatives. So I know they're trying hard, no disrespect. It's just not a game I feel like playing today.
Do you think that's a fair reason for selling before earnings or no? I'm curious what you guys think. Is that a fair reason for selling before earnings? Look, the valuation is absolutely a buy on PayPal, in my opinion. I don't know if I would sell before earnings, dude. I mean, like, what's the downside? 55 again? Like, what numbers do they have to put up for this thing to go back to 55? I don't know. Granted, I guess it's reasonable to not want to hold it through earnings. It could have a Snapchat type of earnings, but then again, I don't think it's going to fall 30%, dude. Like I don't know, dude. I think at this valuation, if PayPal was 90, I would understand, but not at this price. Dan Ives is at 5:30. Dan Ives will be live at 5:30. 5:30. So yeah, those are my thoughts right there on PayPal. And I guess those are my core things here. Let's go back to Palantir, see how they're doing. Then I'll talk about Robinhood and then we'll end it out. We'll do 5 minutes on Robinhood and then we'll be done for the day. Snapchat's down 31%. S&P's down a little bit. Palantir is down 21. Palantir is still holding Palantir's 2170. It's not collapsing after hours. It's still holding up. PayPal 63. Enphase up 11%. The guidance on Enphase is not good, dude. I mean, the valuation maybe, but I don't know why Enphase is doing the best. Pinterest had earnings? Holy crap. We forgot about Pinterest, guys. No one wanted to remind me about Pinterest. Pinterest is down 5%. Let me pull up their numbers. Really, guys? No one thought, hey, we should take a look at the most interesting and fundamentally innovative vision board, pin board company. We shouldn't remind them it. We got to look at that. All right, here we go. Here's Pinterest. So where are the results? Where's the results? Fourth quarter results. Where are the results? Why aren't they on the website? Press release. Oh, here it is. Okay, cool. So here we go. I know this is third quarter. Where the hell are the Pinterest results, dude? I want to see those. I need to see what's going on with Pinterest. Derek says PayPal will outperform Palantir this year on a percentage basis. I mean, I don't know, dude. Now, after these growth numbers from Palantir, I don't know. I think you're probably right given the valuation because PayPal's fundamentally undervalued. Palantir is now approaching fair or overvalued given how high it keeps going. But the question is, are those innovations actually going to lead to the bottom line? I think they will. I'm very bullish on those innovations happening. I just don't know when, right? And I think that's why it's fair for Josh to sell before earnings because he doesn't know when it's going to happen. Just like it's fair to sell Palantir today. It's absolutely fair to take profits on Palantir today because that thing's up 30% in a day. 400 million shares of volume. Like that's probably not going to happen for a while. And if it's not, then we might see a little bit more downside. But I don't know. Palantir versus PayPal through the end of the year. Let's do a poll. What do you guys think? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll in the chat. Which one outperforms on a percentage basis from these prices? So Palantir at 21 versus PayPal at 63 end of the year. Let's see. So that's the poll. Let's see what people say. Oh, I have to end the old poll. Okay, end the old poll. All right. So Palantir from 21 versus PayPal from 63. Which one returns more on percentage basis? Let's see what you guys say. I think most of you are going to say Palantir. I think most of you are going to say Palantir, but let's see. Let's see how much love PayPal can get. Let's see how much love PayPal. Arc says, do you cover SoFi? Yes, I cover SoFi. I talked about them. Quick update on SoFi is simply that they went up today, along with the broader market, up 2.9%. Not bad on SoFi. But obviously SoFi had a killer earnings. They got hammered after their earnings. So really nothing that exciting other than the fact that their earnings need to get a lot better. Oh, Pinterest is on February 8th. Pinterest is on February 8th. Again, SoFi reported the day and the day after we had the hottest jobs report and that we've had in years, or in like 20 months. And we had J-Powell saying no rate cuts. The other thing about SoFi, you just reminded me that I wanted to talk about SoFi. So I gotta talk about my boy Chris's tweet right here. Because Chris tried to do this tweet, and Chris, I love you, but this is not a good tweet. I fundamentally disagree with this tweet, but let's talk about it. So speaking of SoFi and Palantir, here we go. Where's the poll at, by the way? Wow, 68% say Palantir. I don't know, Derek. 68% are saying Palantir. Derek says, PayPal, I will bet someone 10,000. Any takers? All right, if you want to bet Derek 10,000, let me put his Twitter in the chat. You can hit him up on Twitter if you want to take Derek up on that 10,000. Derek will pay the money. He's good for the money. I'll say that. Derek is good for the money. So he's betting 10,000. Palantir doesn't outperform PayPal from these prices on a percentage basis. So all you Palantir folks, you better reach out. If that's an easy 10K, reach out. He will pay the 10K. I'm actually curious who would take him up on that. Because if you're that confident, like I wouldn't say I'm that confident Palantir is going to outperform just because of the valuation at Palantir today versus PayPal today. So I'm not that confident Palantir ends up outperforming. I think it'll do better. I don't know if it'll do that much better. So people are pretty confident here. But yeah, if you want to follow Derek on Twitter, you can follow him there and you can have that bet. Derek, I just saw this. You got to stop doing this, even though this is so nice. He did another 50 gifted memberships. Thank you for that, Derek. You guys can join the channel by pressing on his gifted 50 memberships comment and claim your membership. It's like $5 a month to support the channel. Dude, Derek, you've done this like 7 times now in the past like 3 days. So thank you, Derek. Appreciate it. It means the world. This membership is just like a $5. I don't even do exclusive content. I just did it because YouTube said to like open up a $5 membership. So if you want to subscribe to the channel just to support the channel, it's $5 a month. But you don't have to do that. Please don't feel compelled to do that. I don't really care about the channel memberships. I give a lot of content for free. I like going live. That's what I do. I don't really focus on channel member content. But you're allowed to gift people memberships, and so people can do that. Garcia bet $100. I just want to see someone bet this with Derek and see who wins. I'm actually curious who could win this between Palantir and PayPal. Very curious. Harmsy got a membership. Yeah, if you just click it and then press claim, you should be able to get a membership. But there's only 50 of them, so you got to click it quickly. Okay, so let's talk about this tweet that my boy Chris put out. I love Chris. He's an awesome guy. Super, super nice. That's Derek's Twitter, by the way, if you guys want to follow him. This guy sold companies for hundreds of millions of dollars, so I would recommend definitely following him. Let's talk about Chris's tweet, because this is just not a good tweet, Chris. I don't think this is the right assumptions. Okay. So here you go. SoFi versus Palantir. This is what Chris said. Data-driven investing. He said SoFi did $594 million in revenue, 34% growth, EPS of 2 cents. Palantir did $608 million, GAAP EPS of 3 cents. SoFi's market cap is $7.6 billion. Palantir's market cap is $46 billion. So his argument, he's not really saying it, but his argument is that, you know what? If SoFi is growing more than Palantir, almost double Palantir's growth, and they're basically the same when it comes to profitability. In fact, SoFi is a little bit better. Why is Palantir's market cap 7 times higher than SoFi? Now, I have an answer. And that answer is 4 words. and then I'll expand on my answer. But before, let me say my 4-word answer for why Palantir is worth $46 billion and SoFi is worth $7 billion. It's just a bank. That's it. It's just a fucking bank. It's a bank. It's a cool bank. It's a growing bank. It has Galileo and Technisys and blah, blah, blah. And it's like growing. It's a bank. That's it. You deposit money. They loan the money out. People lend the money. They take the money. They take the net interest income margins from the money that they loan out and versus the federal funds rate. And then they make some money. It's a bank. That's it. Palantir is the ontological operating system, the modern fabric for the enterprise to be able to scale the infrastructure in order to accentuate and amalgamate the potentiality for an organization to actually be thriving in the modern day economy. Now, which one sounds better? A bank or whatever the hell I just said? I think it would be Palantir, right? And so that's what we're seeing right now in the context of SoFi, okay? It's just a bank. I'm saying this as someone who loves SoFi. I'm saying this as someone who's a fan of SoFi. But I think this argument was pretty ridiculous. The other thing, someone commented under, oh, how could you compare a bank's TAM and how could you compare Palantir's TAM? And then Chris responded, and Chris, I just didn't think this was the best response. He said, oh, the banking TAM is $7 trillion. Because if you just look at banks in general, Palantir's TAM is only $1.5 trillion with AI. Look, I don't even know if that's correct because I think the AI TAM is growing and growing, but let's give you that argument. 7 trillion versus 1.5 trillion. Do we really think, can we really be honest? Can we just take a moment? Do we really think SoFi has a $7 trillion opportunity because they're a bank? Do we not think the JP Morgans and the Bank of Americas of the world and the Wells Fargos are taking up some of that 7 trillion and they're not giving any of it away at all? So from that perspective, I just think it's harder to imagine that, you know, the idea that SoFi is going to be able to simply, surpass expectations of one of the most innovative AI companies in the world is that reasonable. Now, is the growth better than Palantir? Sure. But you got to also ask yourself investor interest. Why would investors want to invest in a bank that's growing more than a technology company when they can invest in a technology company that's actually having the impact? I mean, for goodness sakes, Palantir is managing the entire United Kingdom's healthcare operating system. Palantir, by the way, now down about 1% after hours, 21.64. So it's up about 25% of the day. Like, SoFi's not doing that, dude. SoFi's giving out loans. I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing to be excited about in the context of SoFi outside of their growth. That is what gets you excited. Don't tell me it's banking for millennials. Like, no, the app fucking sucks. You can't even open up the app without it loading for fucking 30 hours. Like, you can barely buy a stock without it glitching. Like, there's nothing to get excited. And I say this as someone who loves SoFi. But at the end of the day, it's a bank. That it is what it is, dude. Like, we have to be honest here. And I know people are going to clip what I said. They're going to post it on the internet. They're going to be like, oh, Amit says just all the SoFi haters are going to come out, or the SoFi bulls. If you're a bull, you're honest with yourself and be honest that you're investing in a bank, and that's okay. It's okay. But we have got to stop the comparisons between SoFi and Palantir. Palantir is a different company, dude. It's not SoFi. It's not SoFi. So, we got somebody already posted it. All right, so Josh already posted it. Josh got the clip. We got the clip up there. Dude, the investors platform on SoFi is so bad. It's ridiculous. It's so bad. And Anthony Noto is an OG. I love Anthony Noto. Amazing CEO. Would bet on him any day. But he's running a bank, and it's a bank that's probably going to do well, but it's a bank, dude. There's no AI euphoria or mania around a bank. And by the way, I don't say that in the context of euphoria as a bubble. Palantir put up $500 million of revenue last quarter in 90 days, $608 million. That's not euphoria. That's not .com, in my opinion. Maybe valuations can get stretched, and that you could say that's .com-ish, SMCI, NVIDIA, even though I think NVIDIA is still cheap with their PE, right? But $608 million is $608 million. 70% US commercial growth is 70% US commercial growth. Like, that's not a joke. So, SoFi can keep growing, but it's investing in a bank. And at the end of the day, a bank is a bank. And that's a little bit different. But none again, I still love SoFi, still a fan of SoFi, still going to cover SoFi. Probably will still buy calls on SoFi if it gets down to 730 and just rinse and repeat. I think the valuation is nice. I think $12 by the end of 2024 is very reasonable. But, I think I'm just more excited for Palantir long term. Okay, we're about to end out of here. Let's take one last look. Enphase is up 15%. I think the earnings call is going very well, even if guidance isn't great. So that earnings call has got people excited. Palantir is down at $21.67 to end the day. Snapchat down 31%. MicroStrategy is barely down about 0.6%. Chipotle's up 2.34%. NVIDIA is down 0.5%. Pinterest falling basically on Snapchat, down about 5%. Meta is down about 0.24%. Spotify was up 4% on the day. I looked at their numbers. They increased users, but they didn't make a profit yet. And Enphase is up 15% right now. Robinhood also had a little bit of a tough day. Robinhood, it was up 2% today. It was up 2%, and then Palantir at 21.69 for the day. S&P at 493.71, down after hours. Okay, cool. All right, we got to get out of here. I didn't get to talk about Robinhood, dude. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. My quick thesis on Robinhood is I think the market cap is $9 billion. They have cash of $5 billion on hand. They're getting so many people with this 1% matches, 3% matches. Let me actually show you one of my friends real quick. Damn it, I forgot his name. I'm gonna pull it up tomorrow. I forgot his but he transferred 128,000 into his IRA and he got 3,000, 3% match. So like they're just getting so many customers, so much assets under management. Maybe they're gonna be gap profitable. Even if they're not, they're gonna be close to gap profitable. I think they're gonna guide for higher revenue growth. Crypto revenues are gonna be up. Overall transaction volumes are gonna be up. I think Robinhood's gonna have a really good quarter. I think Robinhood can have a day like Palantir had today. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think they can. And so I'll talk more about Robinhood tomorrow. But I do think that earnings next week will be good for Robinhood. And if it's not, it's not. But I don't think the thing's going back to $7 or $8. I think it's going to stay flat at 10 to 11, or it's going to push 12, 13, 14. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, that's it. I'm going to be live with Dan Ives. That link will be up in YouTube in literally 2 minutes. So don't go anywhere. That will be live streaming that on YouTube. You'll see me here. You won't see Dan because it'll be audio. And if you want to join on Twitter, I'll put the Twitter spaces in the chat right now. And you can join on Twitter spaces right now. So this is the link for the chat. Here it is. If you want to join on Twitter, you can join on Twitter Spaces. If you want to be on YouTube, the link will be live on my channel in 2 minutes. And we'll talk about Dan Ives raising his price target to $30 for Palantir. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you in 13 minutes. Bye, everyone. See you then.